Impact on debit and credit. Now let's look at few examples before completing this task. You have an asset account. Assets usually have a debit balance. And if you are going to increase your assets, you debit. Therefore, the debit balance of asset increases. Now let's look at the first example. Debit and a debit would increase the value of debit. Debit and a debit will increase the value of debit. Now this is for example number 1. Let's look at example number 2. You have an asset account. Assets usually have a debit balance. Now in this example I have taken 10. And the impact of a double entry, to reduce the assets, you credit by a value. Therefore, the assets which has a debit balance will reduce by 8. 10 take away 8. Therefore, debit of an account, to reduce it, credit it. Therefore, the impact on the debit balance will be a reduction. You have a debit value, you're crediting it, therefore the debit value would reduce. Now let's look at the example of a liability. Liabilities usually have a credit balance. If you're going to increase the value of your credit, your liability, you're supposed to credit it. Therefore, the credit value will increase from 10 to 15. Credit and a credit will increase the value of credit. Credit and a credit will increase the value of credit. This is example 3. Now let's look at example 4. You have a credit value in your liability account and you wanted to reduce this credit value. Therefore, you're supposed to debit a certain number. Therefore, the credit value of liability will reduce by 2. Therefore, it will reduce to 18. Now let's apply this example over here. An account has a credit value and you're debiting it. Therefore, the credit value would reduce. This is example number 4. Now we had concluded a debit and a debit will increase debit. Debit and a credit will reduce debit. Credit and a debit will reduce credit. Credit and a credit will increase credit.